Okay, why am I sitting lower than I was sitting? That's kind of hard to get this because I'm zoomed in. Okay. And let me start the timer. I always keep forgetting to restart. Okay, welcome back. So, I've decided to kind of, it's not really from scratch. I mean, it's still going to be the same thing it's going to be, but I'm going to approach it differently. I'm going to start writing, I'm actually going to write the storylines or the plot lines or the goals or whatever of each character, of each major character, and I'll come up with some stuff, and then I will construct the outline for each part, and for each part and everything, based on what I'm doing here. And so this is going to be kind of hard because I'll have to just come up with stuff on the moment. So basically, see what happens when I put this back here. Interesting. Ooh. Makes me a little too bright. That. Okay. So I am going to start with. Okay, so my plan and intent is to allow you to play both the bad guys and the good guys. And like I said earlier, you already kind of know it's foregone conclusion, right? Good over evil, except you'll get to play the bad guy, and no, it's not going to affect the consequences. It's simply, some people make games just to make games. In other words, the game is the most important part of them. Others do an experience. Others like to play around with stuff. And what I'm doing, the reason that I like adventure games is because they're the closest thing to interactive movies. And to me, the story is an integral part of that. So, why was I saying that? So the story is the important part, and then usually when you watch a movie or read a book, usually you don't see a lot of the motivations of the bad guys, really. I mean, you kind of see what they do. In fact, I just watched the Expendables 2 last night. If you don't know what that is, it's Sylvester Stallone and a bunch of older actors that don't get that much movies anymore and stuff. And he's kind of making an action movie, kind of like the traditional '80s action movies. And so the plot of the Expendables 2 is that this bad guy named Villain, played by Jean-Claude Van Damme or Van Damme, or I don't know how you pronounce it. They're back during like the Cold War or during the war or somewhere back in the day. There's this hidden cache of like weapons grade plutonium, and Villain knows the secret to this. And well, actually, he doesn't. There's this drive that has the location to this thing, and Bruce Willis is in it, and he's a guy that kind of sends Sylvester Stallone's character Barney to retrieve this hard drive that has the location to this plutonium stash. And Villain ends up getting it, and there's this young guy with him. and he kills the young guy, and he manages to make off with the box. And then later they show him taking going to wherever this is, and I don't know if it's supposed to be in Russia or some country, where they basically taken all the men of of these different villages near the area into digging out this plutonium, and he finally gets it, and because he's going to sell it. Now, really, that's all you need to know, and as a setup, especially in an action movie where you don't need to know any kind of like deep motivation. It's classic motivation. It's he wants to make money, right? So, and actually, that's a good example of getting more story out of your bad guy than some other movies I've seen. But basically, what they do is you're with your main characters, and they come up to. There's certain points where they come up and they meet the bad guys, or they see the bad guys. Every once in a while, in certain movies, they'll show the bad guy making plans that the good guy doesn't know. But for primarily, the point of view is from the good guys, or from the protagonists, right? And your antagonists in the story, they don't spend as much time on it, or at least you don't see it. I mean, a good one would probably spend a lot of time on backstory that you'll never really see. But so I'm thinking, it might be interesting if we can if we can play the story from the bad guy's point of view, not to understand it, not to. This isn't one of those things like I said. You're not going to be able to affect the ending. This is not a thing that's like pro antagonist or whatever. It's not a psychological deal. It's not anything like that. All it is simply it would be cool to play more of the story. You know how you get into a really good book or set of books, or you get into a really good game and you want to just keep playing, you want more even though you've beaten the game or finished the book or the series of books. Well, this will actually give you a chance to play more of it, you might say. I don't mean afterwards. I don't mean you play the good guys and then at the end you get to play the bad guys or whatever. I just mean it gives you more to do, right? So now you get to do stuff with the good guys and the bad guys. So it kind of will help fill in the story more. So we are going to. It's going to be kind of hard to me because I don't really have an idea, real deep idea of everything that these guys do, and so I'm going to have to come up with stuff like on video or whatever, and write it in and stuff. So I guess without further ado, we'll start with Max. So, okay. So let me see. Let me kind of describe him a little bit. Okay, Maximilian. I don't know if I should spell that with one L or two L's. Maximilian Spell. Okay. Obviously, it's a kind of corny takeoff of the actor Maximilian Schell. It's just because I'm not sure if I had recently watched it because this is like 10 or so years ago, but just watching The Black Hole, right? Because I don't really know the actor from anything else really, because most of his stuff is German or Austrian or something, and a lot of it's foreign. Although I've seen him in a few things that are English movies. Anyways, this is just what I thought of when I thought of it. So for the time being, until I figure out a less corny name to use, or if I ever do, we're gonna call him Max. So Max, let's see. We'll say I'm not gonna go too deep into his. I'll go into his backstory, which brings us up to this game, but I'm not gonna go too deep into his like childhood, or oh, he was he was hurt as a child, or he was lonely and blah blah blah, and no, it's just straight up bad guys, right? Bad guys, good guys, straight up. So Max, does he use magic? I will say no. I will say he was just a resident. Was a resident of Enchanted Lands before it became a tourist spot. Okay? So he was just a regular dude, okay? A regular resident of Enchanted Lands. He was not particularly notable, but he did seem to have a mean streak. Okay, so he's kind of a mean guy. I don't know what mean guys do really, because I'm not really, pick on old ladies, or drown kittens or something, whatever. He's a mean guy. When we'll say there was a time in the past where, well, okay, so Enchanted Lands, they have pretty much your minor conveniences, light. They got magic mirrors, and some of them can go two-way. They get hot and cold running water and this sort of thing. So, but most of their stuff comes from this mineral, which is which has like these magic properties that imbue, that have certain effects on certain things. So, which we call Quicksilver, and I only use Quicksilver because it's just an easy to think up name, and I didn't want to get too carried away with some scientific, pseudoscientific sounding name or whatever. Just call it Quicksilver because it's silver. Okay, it's a metal that basically runs Enchanted Lands. So now it looks like I should probably go to the next video, so I guess I should break it off here, and then I'll continue on in the next video. So thanks for watching. I will see you the next time.